Hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing about the muscles of the back of the thigh. So the muscles of the back of the thigh, let us see the contents of the back of the thigh. If you see here, these are the muscles of the gluteal region and this is the back of the thigh. So the muscles present here are mainly called as hamstring muscles. And there is also something called as short head of biceps femoris, which is not a hamstring muscle. You already know that biceps femoris has two heads, long head and the short head. Long head is a hamstring muscle, whereas short head is not a hamstring muscle. We will be discussing it later. There is also a nerve here which is known as the sciatic nerve, and then we have a small nerve here in close relation to sciatic nerve that is called as posterior femoral cutaneous nerve. So these are the contents of the back of the thigh. So namely we have the hamstring muscles, then we have short head of biceps femoris, then we have the sciatic nerve, and then we have the posterior femoral cutaneous nerve. So these are the contents of the back of the thigh. Now we will see the hamstring muscles. Now what are the hamstring muscles? The hamstring muscles are a beautiful muscle here is called as semimembranosus. Why is it called semimembranosus? Because in its origin it is membranous and near the insertion it becomes fleshy. That is why it is called as semimembranosus. Then we have another muscle which is called as semitendinosus. This muscle is called semitendinosus because it arises by fleshy fibers and its insertion is tendinous. If you can appreciate here, the semitendinosus will rest over the semimembranosus. So we have discussed two hamstring muscles, namely semimembranosus, then we have semitendinosus. The other muscle is the ischial part of adductor magnus. So you know that this muscle, which is the adductor magnus, it has two components. One is the adductor component and other one is the ischial component. So in this back of the thigh, we will come across the ischial component of the adductor magnus, and then we have one more muscle which is the long head of biceps femoris. This is that muscle, the long head of biceps femoris. So these are the hamstring muscles, namely semimembranosus, semitendinosus, the ischial component of the adductor magnus and the long head of biceps femoris. We already know that biceps femoris has long head and short head. So only the long head is the adductor muscle. So this was about the hamstring muscles. Now these hamstring muscles, they follow certain rules. They strictly follow certain rules. So let us see what are the rules followed by the hamstring muscles. If the muscles which follow the rules very correctly, they will be called as the true hamstring muscles, and those muscles which do not completely follow the rules are called as modified hamstring muscles. We will discuss them later. Now let us see the rules followed by the hamstring muscles. We already know the names of the hamstring muscles, namely semimembranosus, semitendinosus, ischial part of the adductor magnus, long head of biceps femoris muscle. So these are the hamstring muscles. Let us see the rules the hamstring muscles should follow. Now compulsorily the hamstring muscles should be supplied by the tibial nerve. So we know that the sciatic nerve has two components, tibial component and the common peroneal component. The tibial nerve and the common peroneal nerve. So the hamstring muscles compulsorily should be supplied by this tibial nerve. So that is the first rule followed by the hamstring muscles. The next rule to be followed by the hamstring muscle is compulsory. They should arise from the ischial tuberosity. So they should arise from the ischial tuberosity of the hip bone. So this is the ischial tuberosity from where the hamstring muscles will arise. So we have discussed two rules to be followed. We will further discuss two more rules. So the first one is compulsory they should be supplied by tibial nerve, and the other one was they should arise from ischial tuberosity of the hip bone. Let us see other rules followed by hamstring muscles. The third rule followed by the hamstring muscle is these hamstring muscles, they are extensors of the hip joint and they are flexors of the knee joint. If you see here, the hamstring muscles on contraction, they will extend the hip joint and they will flex the knee joint. So that is the third rule to be followed by the hamstring muscle. The fourth rule to be followed by hamstring muscle is they should either get inserted into either bones of the leg, namely tibia or fibula. So these muscles compulsorily should get inserted either into the tibia or fibula. So with this we discussed the four rules to be followed by the hamstring muscles. Rule number 1 was that they should be supplied by the tibial nerve. Rule number 2 was that they should arise from the ischial tuberosity. Rule number 3 was that they are the extensors of the hip joint and flexors of the knee joint. Rule number 4 was that they should be inserted either into the tibia or the fibula. So these are the four rules followed by the hamstring muscles. The muscles which follow all these four rules are called as the true hamstring muscles, whereas those which partially follow are called as modified hamstring muscles. Now we will discuss the true hamstring muscles. So true hamstring muscles will follow all the four rules. Let us see what are the true hamstring muscles. True hamstring muscles are the semimembranosus and semitendinosus. These two muscles are called as true hamstring muscles because they follow all the four rules of the hamstring muscles. Now we will see what are the modified hamstring muscles. Now the modified hamstring. So these are the muscles. First we will discuss their names. The ischial component of the adductor magnus and the long head of biceps femoris. As the name suggests, modified, they do not follow the four rules of the hamstring muscles. Let us see what are the rules these muscles don't follow. Now we have already discussed that the hamstring muscles should be inserted either into the tibia or the fibula. But our adductor magnus muscle is inserted into the adductor tubercle of the femur. So it is not inserted to the tibia and fibula. That is why it is called as modified hamstring muscle. Let us go back into the history. Before we assume the erect posture, this adductor magnus muscle was inserted into the upper part on the medial aspect of the tibia. But when we assumed erect or the upright posture, this muscle for functional reason shifted its insertion into adductor tubercle of the femur. So this part of the muscle got converted into a ligament, and that ligament is called as tibial collateral ligament. This ligament you will come across when you study the knee joint. So tibial collateral ligament is a remnant of the adductor magnus muscle. Frequent MCQ question. So this is the reason why the adductor magnus is called as modified hamstring muscle. Now we will discuss another modified hamstring muscle, which is long head of biceps femoris. If you see here, this is the long head of the biceps femoris muscle. This is the hamstring. What kind of hamstring? Modified hamstring, because it doesn't follow strictly the rules of the hamstring. Let us see where it doesn't follow the rules. So we discussed that the hamstrings should compulsorily arise from the ischial tuberosity. But before we assume the erect posture, this biceps femoris long head, it took its origin from the sacrum and the ilium. And when we assumed erect posture, what happened is its origin shifted into the ischial tuberosity of the hip bone. So this part of the origin of the muscle got converted into a ligament. That ligament is called as sacrotuberous ligament. So if you observe here, the ligament attaching the sacrum and the tuberosity, the ischial tuberosity of the hip bone is called as sacrotuberous ligament. So this is nothing but it is formed by the early origin of the long head of biceps femoris muscle. That is why it is called as modified hamstring muscle. So quickly we will revise it once again why it is called as modified hamstring muscle. That is because before we assumed an erect posture, our long head of biceps femoris muscle, it arose from sacrum and the ilium. After we assumed the erect posture, its origin shifted into the ischial tuberosity of the hip bone. Thereby, this part of the muscle got converted into a ligament called as sacrotuberous ligament. So, this is the sacrotuberous ligament. So, that is why it's called as modified hamstring muscle. So, we discussed about the true hamstring muscle, which is semimembranosus, semitendinosus. We discussed about the modified hamstring muscle, which is the ischial part of the adductor magnus muscle and long head of biceps femoris muscle. So that was in brief about the hamstring muscles. Now let us see once again the back of the thigh. As already discussed, this muscle here is the semitendinosus muscle. You can see the tendon here, and this muscle is resting over the semimembranosus. This muscle is the biceps femoris. So we have the long head and the short head. Adductor magnus is in the floor of this thigh. So it is not visible in this picture. Now we will discuss about the sciatic nerve. We have already discussed about its origin in the sacral plexus. So we know that this nerve arises from the L4, L5, S1, S2 and S3 of the sacral plexus. So sciatic nerve has two components, tibial nerve and the common peroneal nerve. So this is about the sciatic nerve. You can have a detailed lecture about the sciatic nerve sometime later. So that is about in the nutshell about the sciatic nerve. If you can see here, this is the tibial nerve here and this is the common peroneal nerve going to the lateral compartment. So this will be the going to the lateral compartment will be the common peroneal nerve. So again this was to show you the tibial component of the sciatic nerve and this is the common peroneal nerve. Now let us see the origin and insertion of the hamstring muscles. So first we will discuss about the semimembranosus. So we already know that semimembranosus, this is a true hamstring muscle because it follows all the rules of the hamstring muscles. Let us see its origin first, then we will go to the insertion. Why it is called semimembranosus? Because its origin is membranous and its insertion is fleshy. That is why it is called as semimembranosus. Now let us see the origin in the ischial tuberosity. So this is the ischial tuberosity of the hip bone. This ischial tuberosity is divided by a transverse line into upper quadrilateral, lower triangular area. Now further, an oblique line will divide the upper quadrilateral area into superolateral area and lower quadrilateral area into inferomedial area. The triangular area is further divided by a vertical ridge into inner part and the outer part. So this is about the ischial tuberosity. So quickly we can revise it once again. So what we said was the ischial tuberosity. So this is the ischial tuberosity of the hip bone. A transverse ridge or line divides it into upper quadrilateral, lower triangular area. Further, an oblique line or an oblique ridge divides the upper quadrilateral area into superolateral area and inferomedial area. This is the lateral aspect, that is why it is called superolateral. This is the medial aspect, that is why it is called inferomedial. Now further, in the lower triangular area, one vertical ridge will divide it into inner part and the outer part. Now let us see from where the semimembranosus arises. We know that the semimembranosus has to arise from the ischial tuberosity because it is a hamstring muscle. The semimembranosus actually arises from the superolateral area of the ischial tuberosity. So it is from here semimembranosus muscle will arise. After taking its origin, let us see the insertion. Obviously, as the rules followed by the hamstring muscle, it has to get inserted either into the tibia or the fibula. Semimembranosus will get inserted into the tibia. Which part of the tibia? It gets inserted onto the posterior aspect of medial condyle of the tibia. So, upper posterior aspect of medial condyle of the tibia. So, that is the insertion of semimembranosus. So here this is to show this is the anterior aspect of tibia, this is the posterior aspect of tibia. So semimembranosus attaches into, and this is fibula, so this has to be the lateral aspect, this is the medial aspect. Semimembranosus attaches to upper posterior aspect of the medial condyle of the tibia. So this is where semimembranosus will attach. Now, semimembranosus, after its attachment, it gives out four important slips. What are they? After its attachment, it gives out a ligament. You can see here, it gives out a ligament running obliquely. That ligament is called as oblique popliteal ligament. This ligament is attached to the intercondylar line of the femur. So this expansion of semimembranosus, very important, is oblique popliteal ligament. There's one more downward expansion. So this expansion, it passes lower down and laterally, and it is covering the popliteus muscle, and it is attaching to the soleal line of the tibia. So these two are the expansion of the semimembranosus. So we've already discussed about the semimembranosus. Now we will discuss about the semitendinosus. We already know semitendinosus is also a true hamstring muscle. So this muscle, let us see its origin. Obviously it has to arise from the ischial tuberosity. So which part of the ischial tuberosity? Semitendinosus along with long head of biceps femoris will arise from the inferomedial aspect of the ischial tuberosity. So semitendinosus along with long head of biceps femoris will arise from Inferomedial aspect. So this is the inferomedial aspect of the ischial tuberosity. Here arise the semimembranosus. So no confusion about that. Now let us see the insertion of semitendinosus. You all can appreciate here, obviously because it's a hamstring muscle, it has to attach either to tibia or the fibula. The semitendinosus muscle arises into the upper medial aspect of the tibia along with two muscles, which is sartorius, gracilis, and last is the semitendinosus. So this is where the semitendinosus muscle will attach into the upper medial aspect of the tibia. So that was about the semitendinosus. Now we will discuss about the ischial component of the adductor magnus muscle. Adductor magnus muscle, this is a huge muscle. You already know that this is a modified hamstring muscle. So this muscle seen here is the adductor magnus muscle. This adductor magnus muscle, it has two components, the adductor component and the ischial component. So we are discussing about the ischial component today, which is the hamstring part. Okay. So let us see the origin of the adductor magnus muscle from the ischial tuberosity. We already know that this is where the semimembranosus muscle took origin. This is the semitendinosus along with long head of biceps femoris. The lower triangle is divided by vertical ridge into inner and the outer aspect. So the ischial component of the adductor magnus arises from the outer aspect of the lower triangular area of the ischial tuberosity. The inner area is subcutaneous and this is where we sit and leave our weight. Okay. So that is about the ischial component of the adductor magnus. Now this adductor component, where does it arise from? It arises from the ischiopubic rami. Ischiopubic rami. So this is the adductor component of the adductor magnus. This is the ischial component of the adductor magnus. So both the adductor and the ischial component, they will attach to the femur. So they attach to the medial lip of the linea aspera. This is the adductor component. The ischial component is attached to the adductor tubercle of the femur. So we discussed in a last slide that initially it was attached to the upper medial aspect of the tibia. When we assumed the erect posture, its insertion shifted above to the adductor tubercle of the femur. Thereby this part became ligamentous and that is called as tibial collateral ligament. Now we will discuss about the last modified hamstring muscle, which is the long head of biceps femoris. This is a modified hamstring muscle. We know that long head of the biceps femoris, the biceps femoris has two heads, long head and short head. So first we will see about the biceps femoris. The long head, where does it arise from? This is the hamstring part. Short head is not the hamstring part. First let us discuss about the long head's origin. So you already know by now, the long head along with its friend semitendinosus arises from inferomedial aspect of the ischial tuberosity. Semitendinosus along with long head of biceps femoris. So that is the origin of long head of biceps femoris. Now let us see short head, where does it arises from? It takes its origin from the lateral lip of the linea aspera, lateral supracondylar line. It joins with the long head of biceps femoris and it is attached to the styloid process of the fibula. If you see here, this is the long head and this is the short head. Both the muscles join together and where it is inserted? It is inserted into the styloid process of the fibula. So that is about the long head of biceps femoris. Now what is the ligament remnant of this long head of biceps femoris? Is the sacrotuberous ligament. So if an MCQ question is asked, sacrotuberous ligament is a remnant of which muscle? Your answer will be the long head of biceps femoris or simply biceps femoris muscle. Now let us see the action of the hamstring muscle as already discussed. It brings about extension of the hip joint and it has to bring about flexion of the knee joint. So here it is, extension of the hip joint and flexion of the knee joint. So that is the action of the hamstring muscles. So this was about the hamstring muscles. We have discussed about what are these hamstring muscles, what are the rules followed by the hamstring muscles, and what is the true hamstring muscle, what is the modified hamstring muscle. We have discussed about their origin, their insertion. So this was about the hamstring muscles. Thank you so much for listening to this video.